media experts and condescending family members and know-it-all siblings and even sometimes our own kids' complaints does not make it any easier. And there are a zillion and one reasons for on any given day you to feel like maybe you aren't a good parent. I know me feeling adequate and even honestly more than adequate has been a battle for me since before day one. And so I came up with a list of 100 ways that you could still be a good parent. And a lot of these things are um, qualifiers that maybe you could be insecure about or that society may try to make you feel like you're not a great parent. And so I wrote them down on my laptop. I was not going to try to remember, and I want to share them with you. And maybe if you relate to any of these or you feel like there is someone who could use a boost, you could pass this along to them. So buckle up. I don't know. Maybe play it while you brush your teeth or on your commute or wash dishes or something like that. But here are 100 ways that you can live your life and still be a good parent. These, of course, there's always nuance and things like that, but these things alone do not disqualify you from being a good parent. And if you stick around to the end or fast forward to the end, I have just kind of an overarching umbrella of the things that are needed for a good parent. Here we go. You can still be a good parent if you go on deployment. If your child sees you cry, you could still be a good parent if you decide not to give them siblings. If you buy all of their clothes secondhand. If you take your child to read alouds facilitated by drag queens, you can still be a good parent even if you are a drag queen. If you are missing limbs, if you take medication for your mental health, if you're really, really sick, if you're not living with their other parent or with anybody else. If your child has to translate for you, if you've been incarcerated, you can still be a good parent if you're plus size. You can still be a good parent if you don't love playing. If they ate chicken nuggets 2 times a day for 3 days in a row or more, if you don't read to them every night before bed, if Roblox taught your kids how to read, one of my best friends, that's their story, and I love that for them, and she's an amazing mom. If your child is a biter, if you don't sign them up for sports, if you can't help them with their homework because it's hard for you too, you can still be a good parent if you don't cook that well. If you lost count of how many hours of screen time that they get, if you went no contact with their grandparent, you can still be a good parent if, when you were clipping their tiny razor sharp baby nails when they were a baby, you accidentally clipped their finger or their toe a little bit. If you're a family of two mommies, if you're a family of two daddies, if you're a family that doesn't subscribe to the gender binary at all, if you work from home and have hours where you're present, but you're not able to be present. Aw, thank you. Let's see. Oh, if you work outside the home and you feel like you're missing out on precious time and memories, you can still be a good parent if you breastfed or if you bottle fed. You can be a good parent if your potty child if your potty child if your child was potty trained at 18 months. You can be a good parent if your child was potty trained at 6 years old. You can be a good parent if you work the night shift or if you can't always play because you're tired or depressed. I do. Someone asked, "Do I have any children?" I have a child that I grew in my body, but then I've had hundreds of children because I have been a preschool educator for over 10 years. And I know they're not mine that I take home with me, but we do act in loco parentis in place of the parents when we're at school. And for some of the children, during the week, we spend as much or more time with them than their parents do, which is really sad. But we've got to. People got to work, you know. So let's see. You can be a good parent if you can't read well. Yeah, thank you so much. You can be a good parent if you can't read well. You can be a good parent if you use profanity. You can be a good parent if perfect attendance in school isn't your goal for your child. If you like video games, if you can't afford vacation, if you have Down syndrome, if your child still sleeps in the bed with you, notice I didn't put an age. You could be a good parent if you didn't have good parents. You could still be a good parent if you aren't sure how to connect with your child. Are you trying? Are you concerned about it? You can be a good parent if you're grieving. You could be a good parent even if you can find 100 things wrong with you. You can be a good parent if your child is having some behavior challenges at school. You can be a good parent if you wear crop tops, whether you're a man or a woman. If you have a history of substance abuse, if you just don't like cartoons, or Miss Rachel. Sorry, Miss Rachel. I think you're great. You can be a good parent if you hide your snacks, if you refuse to buy them a pet, if you have 15 pets, if you've gotten in a car accident with your child in the car with you, if you needed someone else to watch them for a while because you weren't in the place to do it yourself, mentally, financially, work wise, whatever. Did you make sure those babies were taken care of? That's the best you could do. You could be a good parent if you never joined the PTA. I hope you guys don't hear this background noise. They're like cutting grass outside. I don't know what the noise cancellation is like on this mic. We are on number 57. You can be a good parent if you never chaperone a field trip. If your baby had to get dropped off at school or childcare before they were 1 year old because you had to go to work. If you love the outdoors. If you hate the outdoors. If you're a woman who doesn't shave. If you're a man who loves to wear nail polish. If you have tattoos. If you have piercings. If you don't have tattoos or piercings. If you prefer movies. If you prefer books. If you love meat. If you're a vegetarian. If you're a pescatarian. If you're vegan. If you're a dog person or a cat person. If you own a home or if you rent. If you live in an apartment. If you're staying in a shelter. If you're living currently in an extended stay hotel. If you're staying with family. If you homeschool. Number 81. You can be a good parent even if you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. You can be a good parent even if you don't love parenting. You can be a good parent if your baby came to exist out of unfortunate circumstances. If you can't afford a Christmas tree, if you can't afford to pay their hospital bill but couldn't stand to see them stay sick, so you took them anyway. If your business idea didn't take off the way you had hoped. If you're heartbroken. If you give your child medication from MDs and other over-the-counter things, or if you go the more natural and holistic route. If you believe Jesus is a savior. If you don't. You can be a good parent if you picked them up a little late from school. You can be a good parent if you're angry at life. You can be a good parent if you got your groceries from the food pantry. You can be a good parent if you don't feel like it's safe for your kids to play outside in your neighborhood. You can be a good parent even if you don't like looking in the mirror. You can be a good parent even if you think they would be better supported by your life insurance payout than by your presence, which isn't true. You can be a good parent if you try so hard every day but still feel like you can't get it right. You can be a good parent if you think your kid deserves a better parent, happier, more energetic, smarter, funny, more adventurous, less anxious, healthier, more creative, and maybe has more and better connections than you. And number 100, you can be a good parent if you heard this whole list and still found a way to think that you are not a good parent. Do you protect them? Do you hug them? Do you make sure that they are healthy, clean, fed, and educated? And do they feel safe and happy with you? Within those parameters, there are a zillion ways to be a good parent. I hope I just hope this helped you possibly to feel worthy and deserving. Your babies picked you. They love you. And no matter what thoughts, what intrusive, evil, critical, negative thoughts and cycles that you have in your mind, the truth remains that they only have one you. You are irreplaceable. You are irreplaceable. I was rewatching the show Once Upon a Time, and was it Emma was driving a teen mom, and the mom wasn't sure she wanted to keep the baby, and at the last minute she decided she want to. And Emma had given her child up for adoption in the past, and she looked at the mom and said, um, "Are you sure you want to have this baby? If you have this baby, this means you can never ever leave." And that just really, really touched me because sometimes it's really hard, and you think maybe they do deserve better, but they only have one you. I hope you have a wonderful day and that you come back to this list whenever you need it. Oops.